folks, and welcome to Subjective Thoughts. And our comic for today is SKATEMAN Issue 1 by Pacific Comics. Now, there is violence, murder, blood, beating up, some explosions, and a gang in this one, so if you are in any way squeamish, you have been warned. Also, spoilers. Alright, here's the team. Now, of course, out of here, I've heard of Mr. Neil Adams. May he rest in peace. The rest aren't as familiar. Right, so SKATEMAN. Yes, SKATEMAN. I've learned about SKATEMAN on Cover Slingers, a live show I do with my friends. Mr. Vetterog has showed this comic and then sent it to me. Because when I first saw it, I was like, SKATEMAN. Just the idea was just so funny. And I'm really glad I got to read it. But alright, let's get into the story. So, our story starts with SKATEMAN. His name is Billy. His name is Billy. He's fighting off members of a gang. What are they doing? They're attacking and yeah, they were attacking an old man. He fights them off, and they're like, "Oh no, it's SKATEMAN." It's SKATEMAN. Yes. But then he gets he fights them off, kicks them. Then he sees more of them coming. He goes to, okay, it's time to escape. He goes, but then one member surprises him and hits him with a wooden plank or something. And then he falls, and then the other gang members start beating up on him. And things look tough, but then they hear police sirens, so they scatter. So he's there on the ground, but then a young boy approaches him on a skateboard. His name is Paco. Paco knows Billy, and I think he knows he's SKATEMAN. I think. Well, anyway, Billy tells him, Paco, you have to help me, get me to Jill. So Paco sits him on his skateboard and wheels him to Jill. Jill is a friend of his. She takes him to this nice old lady that helps him. And then she says, my herbs medicine will cure him, but why don't you just take him to the doctors? And she says Billy doesn't want to go to the doctors. Which at that time she doesn't know that he's SKATEMAN, so I don't understand why he doesn't want to go to the hospital. I mean, does he have to tell who beat him up? I don't know. Anyway, then we get, as he's lying there all beaten up, we get his life story. So Billy had some sort of issues. He learned martial arts as a kid and tried to forget something that we don't get clarification on. Then he went to the army. He fought in Vietnam. I probably fucked him up. I also saw that there were just soldiers there to fight. Then he left the army, and he didn't know what to do with himself after that, what kind of job to get. And then a friend of his who also served tells him, come be a derby the derby skater, right? The roll derby, I think it's called. So Billy's like, yeah. He goes, and he turns out he's great at it. He loves it. This is exactly the kind of job that he wants. And then he meets a young lady named Angel, and they're in love and all that shit. And life is great. Until one day where they have a roll derby match, and his friend tells him, oh, Billy, after this we'll talk about that thing. And then some new trainer Billy doesn't recognize gives his friend his skates. So then they go, and I guess in roll derby, sometimes one of them plays the bad guy and attacks the other. I don't know the rules of roll derby, so I have no idea. Anyway, Billy is supposed to hit him hard for the purpose of the show, and so he does. And his friend keeps telling him, okay, harder, for the show, and then he hits him, and because that trainer gave him damaged skates, one of the wheels was purposefully loosened. So he falls badly and, well, dies because he breaks it, snaps his neck on his fall. And Billy tries to go to him, and then the referee, whoever, says he's dead, and people start yelling, "Killer, killer!" I guess that instance, he's the one that push him. And then Billy's, everyone's yelling killer, his own consciousness is yelling killer, and things are really shit, his career is over. And then but Angel's with him still, and uh, what do you call it? They take, fuck. Also, what's the word? It's, this is back then in the 80s. They hitch rides. They hitch rides all the way to California, where Angel gets a job as a reporter. Not a reporter, to write for a newspaper. And again, things are great. She has a job. They live in this shack that Billy not hired, rented. And Billy's still in a terrible state about his friend. And then and that's like a few days later. He feels ready to see people. He goes outside, and that's where he meets Paco. Some other kids are beating him up. When he tries to pick up his comic books, Billy scares them away. And then he and Paco start hanging out. He teaches them how to ride a skateboard. And Paco becomes really good, and then he enters some local tournament. And Billy has a distress moment because, what if it happens again? But everything's all right. Paco wins. And he and Angel are very happy for him. And then one night, they're eating dinner. Angel went out to get ice cream. And then they hear a noise. Paco and Billy were having a food fight. And then they hear the door. They go outside, and Angel's there. She's walking toward him. She's completely slashed. She's bleeding. And then they see driving away is a motorcycle, and the guy on it has a jacket with a skull on it. Angel dies. They bury her, and again, Billy's even more fucked up than before. Ali was his friend murdered with his aid. Now the love of his life has been murdered. And he's obviously upset. He's drinking. He lashes out at Paco. Paco, I guess, leaves, and maybe later they reconcile. That's not shown. But anyway, he becomes Skate Man. Yes, Skate Man. I'll get to that in the end. So he starts going around trying to find out. For some reason, he thinks that the murder of his friend and Angels is connected. That they're connected. I don't know how. Because it's not like it happened in the same city. It's all the way in California. I don't know how the fuck you make a connection between. Now, granted, someone has a vendetta against Billy, yeah, but other than that, what sense does that make? I mean, if they wanted to get Billy out of the game, they already done that. Who's gonna get him back? He's labeled a murderer, a killer. So it's, I don't know. Right, so he finds out that this gang, they're using immigrants, workers that are there to get drugs from Mexico, and and they're using them too as a workforce and everything. And probably Angel wrote about that in the newspaper, and I imagine maybe that's why they killed her. I think, as I imagine they wouldn't really know who Billy was. I don't know. But anyway, we get this whole backstory, and then we're back to Billy wakes up. Jill's there, comforting and telling her it'll be all right. Here, drink this. Nah, he loses consciousness again. After that, Jill sings him a song, and it looks like Jill's in love with him. She says, 1 second. She says, one day you'll forget about Angel, and I'll be waiting. Well, not. I think you'll. That was funny because it's not like he's gonna completely forget Angel. It's just the pain will hopefully subside. 1 second. Okay, yeah. She tells him that. Then thinks a few days maybe he recovers, and then he's in the shed of this old lady's house, and he's fixing something. And Paco arrives and says, "Well, Jill doesn't know you're skate man." And then Billy gives him a skateboard with an engine on it. And I guess like today's, but I don't get how. Like it's not like it's completely electronic. It's a wooden one with a motor, but I don't understand. Would it even been possible to do that back then? Because this was written in the 80s. And again, it's not like the skateboard's completely mechanical. It's wooden. Like you can't. It's like those electric bikes. You can't just attach a battery to any bicycle and it'll start, driving on its own. You need a special bicycle. A regular one, you can't attach a battery and it'll start running. So I'm just so confused. Would Billy even know how to build that? And again, it's wood. Okay, you gotta attach a battery. What? The electricity will shock the wood and it'll start wheeling? I don't know. I even asked my dad about it. Like, that would have been possible back then, even. I don't think so. And again, it's just wood. So I'm really fucking confused. It's not like Billy's shown to be this technical genius or something. And again, wood. Never mind. The boy has a skateboard made out of wood with a motor on it, somehow. Next. Then Billy goes to this club with Jill, obviously pretending he doesn't know how to skate. I don't exactly know why. He can just skate normally. I mean, Skate Man's moves are, probably not regular ones. I mean, would she immediately make the connection? You two can skate. You must be him. And, okay. And he's asked, Jill, why did we come here? She said, oh, you wanted to talk to Freddy. But Freddy is someone who might know what's going on. And so he gives him, he gives him I went a bit early, he gives him all that information about this gang and everything. Billy's like, okay, he and Jill dance with their skates a bit, then they kiss, and she said, well, I gotta go. She's apparently a singer in this club. And then as he watches her sing, some guy goes to the front and starts a fight. And it's to create a distraction so someone else can kidnap Jill. I'm not sure why. But anyway, she's kidnapped. Billy tries to get to her. He goes throughout the door they left through. He puts on his skateman gear, which is a mask, a shirt, and, well, obviously roller skates. And he goes after them. Jill's in a room, in a shed in the room behind the club. He recognizes the trainer. He and another guy are dressed like police officers. And then then there's a third guy, but Billy rescues her. And then, no, obviously, he doesn't disguise his voice, so Jill's like, Billy? He doesn't respond. He contacts through a walkie-talkie. He contacts Paco, tells him where they are, that they need backup. They start getting out of there. They go, they're at a dead end. They're cornered by the motorcyclist, but then Freddy also arrives with a lot of skateboarder kids. I don't think that's a very safe idea to involve children, but okay. So it's apparently Freddy has a nickname and everything. He's known. Anyway, he and all the skateboarders start attacking the motorcyclists. But while this happens, Skull, the guy with the skull, I think the one that murdered Angel, grabs Jill. And shit, SKATEMAN can't get to her, but he quickly goes after the car. He does some crazy maneuvers. He manages to grab onto it and he puts a tracking device on it. Where did he get a tracking device? Can you easily build a tracking device? Like, that one just baffles me. Is it even possible to do that at home? It just, I mean, I don't know, granted. I don't understand shit in mechanics or anything like that, but it's just, would that even be possible to fucking do? I don't know. I'm just baffled. And okay, let's go with it. He built a tracking device. He attaches it to the car. Car drives away, but still he finds out where it is. He's driving around, what was it, an old warehouse or something? And anyway, he's wheeling around trying to pinpoint the location, but then some of the thugs see him, and they got this like big motherfucking truck, and they go after him, and they corner him in a dead end. He's like, ah, shit. So then he does a maneuver, and he goes under the truck. And then Billy arrives. So they're like, okay, Billy, here's the plan. You're gonna throw these grenades in there. Holy shit. But be quick about it, because there's only 30 seconds. Gives them to Billy, and then we see... Now, this scene was funny. They ask... Jill's tied up to a chair, and the gangs are... they're talking to her, one of the gang members. And he's like, do you know about all of this and all that? And she doesn't even get to answer. The skull guy says already, all right, bitch doesn't know anything, kill her. She didn't even get to say anything. She didn't even say, I don't know what you're talking about. She didn't even utter a word. Man, this guy doesn't have any patience. But besides that, it's like, it doesn't make any sense. She doesn't even answer, and you already, okay, she doesn't know. Anyway, Billy throws the first grenade with his skateboard that has a motor on it. And he, then there's an explosion. Billy goes into the warehouse, surprises them, knocks 4 of the goons out, reaches for Jill, but then you see that the skull guy, he pulls out a gun, but then he takes a, what do you call it? He takes a billiard ball and hits him in the head. Then he like quickly grabs Jill. He tells her, okay, come on, we gotta go. Billy's throwing more grenades in the meantime, as you do. And things explode. He grabs Jill. He's like, come on, Jill, we have to hurry. And she's like, Billy. So she knows who he is now. And they get out of there. There's a massive explosion behind them. You see Paco standing there like, and that's it. That's the end. Hoo-wee. Okay. Well, let's get to the cover. I forgot. I kind of forgot what the theme was for Cover Slingers that we showed this one, but I think give Mr. Varrock a 10. Just for the kookiness of this cover and the kookiness of SKATEMAN. That's a pretty cool cover, you know, skates aside. It's still too silly, but it's cool. Yeah, the composition, he's kicking this guy, using this guy to lift himself up. Then you got this dude over there. And by the way, that's the first page of the comic. It's the cover. Obviously a little bit different. Okay, I'll show you. I can show you a little bit more because this is really fucking old. Hopefully Pacific Comics doesn't strike me for using their comics. Yeah, you see, you got Billy doing all his maneuvers and shit. Oh, sorry, it was, yeah, it was a wooden plank. Okay. So, the art's actually pretty good. Colors aren't too bad. Alright, well, look at this. The details are really good, too. You see that? There's Billy, there's his friend. No, he doesn't say his name, he just calls him a buddy. You see a roller derby. There's Billy. He's really enjoying it. Let me show you Jill. Ah, there we go. There's Angel. There's a very pretty lady. There's his friend. Just strange. Yeah, no one mentions the name. I guess the name didn't fucking matter. That was a good buddy of his. There was Paco down there. Okay, there's Jill. She's also a babe, as they would say probably back then. Also very pretty. There's poor Billy. There, you see, like, okay, you put that on, right? Like, even if this part is metal, how the fuck would that work? I'm just look at that thing. I'm just baffled. Would he even manage to build something like that? I don't know how electric bicycles work exactly. Just look at him. You see, he even trained and shit for this. Billy, though, is very handsome. Okay, there you see he's pretending he can't skate. There's old Freddy. There's Jill singing. There we go. Let me just show you that explosion. Check it. You see? There's this motor thing. I don't know. Maybe someone who knows about this stuff will tell me. I know it's actually possible if you do this. You see, there's Jill there. And woohoo! Look at that explosion. And the end. There's also an extra story in here. I think 2 actually. First one was also a bit of a well, it was pretty short, but still didn't also make quite as much sense. But anyway. Alright, so that was the art, the cover. I do, of course, love the purple here. Alright, now to the story. Whew. Okay, so the idea of the story is actually not bad. You know, it's your basic, someone's been wronged and decided to become a vigilante. That's not bad. The thing is, unlike the Punisher, here we have SKATEMAN. And it's just so impractical. Like, okay, you ride on skates. Okay, he can fight, but he rides on skates. How effective is that? What if someone puts a lot of needles on the ground and shit? Or what do you do if you're on ice? Or so many fucking things could go wrong with this. It's just it's just astounding. And by the way, this is the only issue of SKATEMAN. This did not go on to become a series. I mean, again, yeah, the idea is just too silly. I think for a story like this, maybe as a parody of a vigilante, this could have been good. But I think as an actual series story, it's just too silly. And also the weird stuff in the story is Buddy getting murdered, which isn't really explained, and then for some reason Billy thinking it's connected to Angel's murder, which it isn't even confirmed why she was murdered. The only clue you have is the newspaper, which okay, maybe she was writing some kind of article, but it's not even mentioned. Like at least give us little details on why? At least show, I don't know, Jill collecting information and shit like that. Not Jill, Angel, sorry. But you don't get that. You just. Somebody's supposed to think this, but how would it be? Okay, again, the connection thing. What happened in a different city and they moved to California? Again, what would be good about, hunting down Billy and killing Angel? Was Angel somehow involved with this whole thing? It just doesn't make any sense. And also, what happened to Billy when he was young? That he learned martial arts and then... Also, some panels here, it's kind of a little difficult to understand how to follow the writing. Like, what to read first. And so yes, Billy becomes a vigilante. He follows this game, but even then he doesn't have information. At least if you showed not Jill, Angel, searching information about this gang, getting interviews, getting testimonies. Well, talking to witnesses, getting their stories about the gang, talking to the immigrants. She had all this on paper, on recording. And Billy knew about all this. At least then it would make sense. But yeah, he just saw the guy with the skull jacket, and that was it. And also, why did he return her home? If he murdered her, why didn't he just dump her somewhere where it would take weeks to find her? Why just dump her there and also be seen at that? Now, yeah, you could say, pursue on Billy to see, but what can Billy do? He's nobody. He used to be a roller derby driver, and that's it. A roller skate, sorry. Ooh, what influence would he have in California? I mean, shit. He was renting somewhere, and the only one that had a job between the two of them was It was Angel. It just the dots don't connect well. You get what I'm saying? It's a shame because, well, minus the skates part, this could have been a really cool story. Although again, change it, maybe make him up. Like even if he was some kind of, I don't know, like a football player or something. Maybe then he'd be one with like raw strength and shit, and then he could use that and be just become a vigilante like that. But with skates, yeah. Well, it is what it is. I think the other reasons might have not succeeded to even an issue two was just the story in there didn't make a lot of sense. Or I don't know, maybe people back then even thought Skate Man was way too silly. Because this is, I looked up, this is from '83. So, yeah. So that was Skate Man. That's your basic pretty good idea, minus the skates. And could have been a pretty interesting miniseries. But unfortunately, that did not happen. Maybe if it had the better plot and stuff, it would have worked. Who knows? Maybe even with the skates, but I slightly doubt that. But regardless, I did enjoy reading through it. I, although wouldn't really see it making a whole series, to be fair. But still, I got my enjoyment out of this. It was some silly fun, even with the violence. And that is it. Let me know if you've ever come across Skate Man. What'd you think? Maybe you could explain to me how we could put Ninja on a skateboard when he's not, even one to build such stuff. Okay, so that is it. Remember, collect what you're passionate about and share it on YouTube. Bye!